lucky.
So that's Joshua LaFleur, and Joshua LaFleur was a prominent figure in this area, right? So,
yep.
And remember his name because it's important. He was half Choctaw, half French. Steve, I want you to introduce the second pillar in this story and his sons.
Sure. So along with Joshua LaFleur, part of this party that goes out in this story is a Choctaw man, a Choctaw warrior, I should say, named Hamas Tubby and his 6 sons. Now, what stands out about Tubby and his sons is, I mean, the Choctaw warriors in themselves were large, fierce, Native Americans. All the Tubby men were reportedly at least 7 feet tall and over 300 pounds. Just absolute brutes of men.
Yeah.
But not only that, what's even more impressive than that is that they were very skilled horsemen. They were masters of horseback combat.
Yep.
And they were actually known, Hamas and his sons were known as, ironically named, the Light Horsemen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were the other party here in this story.
It's like when you call the 6'9", 340-pound guy tiny, right? Like they were called the Light Horsemen.
Yep.
And so Hamas Tubby, again, before you chuckle that name, this dude was over 7 feet tall, 300 pounds, and he had 6 boys that were 7 feet plus tall and over 300 pounds, right? And I connected some dots on that, man, before we get into it. And this was not, again, what Steve just told you, this was not an awkward 700 pounds. These boys were fleet of foot, very agile, and had mastery over, they were master horsemen, masters on horsemen. All 7 of them were, right? So I did some probability talk with, Chat GPT or whatever, and I asked Chat GPT, what are the odds that you could have 7 foot plus tall men in a single family genetically? And it came up with
probability.
The probability was like 1 in add several million.
A lot of zeros,
right? It was crazy. It was so much that my brain was like, I can't even pronounce that number, man. 1 in a bazillion trillion, right? Is what it came into. And I was reading a paper about 3 weeks ago. Jay, I think I might have told you about this, how George Washington had a grandfather named Ben Washington, right? And Ben Washington lured 5 Native American chiefs into a peace treaty meeting, and they were all over 8 feet tall and reportedly had 22-inch calves, right? And he gave them peace medals, and then he murdered them, right? And I was thinking to myself, right, it's a story. That's a true story. You can go look that up.
I'll
right?
have to look it up.
And so, yeah, his name was Ben Washington, right? It was George Washington's grandfather. And, we do a lot of these Native American stories about how these guys went to war with giants that were like, white, 6 fingers, 6 toes, 2 rows of teeth, red hair, and they have these giant mounds, right? And it got me to thinking, man, with these Native Americans, dude, is like, and there's another thing too I want to point out in this story is that I think these dudes might have had some old, like some old blood in them, dog. I'm talking about like very strange characteristics that they share with the Israelites, right? Like the Hebrews, right? Of lore when we go into it. And I'll tell you that as we get into it, right? Even the language they speak, bro, has Hebrew in it. And actually, when I was talking to, drawing a blank here, man, one of the Bigfoot researchers came on here. He thinks that these Bigfoots are speaking a dialect of Hebrew and Aramaic, right? Like a different type of dialect, right? Anyways, so I just thought that was another mystery to this story. 7 men, right? 7 men, bro, over 7 feet tall, over 300 pounds. And this was their natural, their natural bodies. It wasn't an awkward 300 pounds, right? It wasn't some 9-foot tall basketball player run out there who can jump like an inch off the ground. These dudes could stand up on ride horses. This was crazy, right? So, anyways,
and one more layer to that, Joe, is when I was looking after researching and we all shared some information together before the show here. I did a little more because I wanted to know some more about the Hamas and his sons, and I couldn't find much more than what we were already looking into. But I did find there was a document published in 2001 by a researcher named Tuklo Nashobi, and he had published some research on this War of the Bigfoots. And the only thing that I saw that was not something we had already known was that reportedly, so Hamas was the father and he had his 6 sons. Supposedly Hamas's father himself was 8'2" and weighed over 500 pounds.
What?
So there is massive lineage in this family. Yes.
Wow.
So
that is insane, bro. That is insane.
Yeah. That's probably where that all dribbled down from, was from Father Hunali.
And athletic. You know what I'm saying? And athletic. That is crazy.
Yeah, not like the what we see, the tallest man, right? Yeah. He's Ripley's Believe It or Not, tallest men kind of things.
Or the guy
Guinness
Book
of World Records. He can barely walk, right? He's got giantism, right, which is like a malfunction. And they don't live long.
No.
And they just collapse under their own weight. Yeah. So can you imagine how intimidating that would be? That would make Shaquille O'Neal look like a child.
A child, right? A child.
Like Shaquille O'Neal is kind of what your model is, right? Because he's really big. He's just big.
Yeah.
Right? All over. And so he's athletic and large. And if you double that size, if you make him 8'3", that's adding another foot at least.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because that's wide too, right?
Yeah. And then put him on a Clydesdale. Then put him on a horse.
Right. And then put him on a horse.
And then put a sword in his hand.
Big ass horse.
No. Put a sword in his hand, right? Yeah. Put a sword in his hand. Yeah. So anyway, I'm
gonna need more than a musket for that.
Yeah, for sure, right? So safe to say, formidable Choctaw warriors. Yes, agreed? We could all agree on that, right?
Slightly intimidating, yeah.
Slightly intimidating,
sure,
right? No, it's like Steve said, they were such masters of horseback warfare that they were literally referred to as the light horsemen, right? The light cavalry, the light horsemen, right? So those are the players. Oh, I forget, there's one more player. A pack of mean old Bigfoots. That's the other player right there. We're getting into it.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.